What would you do if you were 3 feet from the largest gold mine ever discovered? Hello, this is Vic Johnson with another episode of 11 Reasons That Goals Fail. In the classic book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill tells us the true story of R.U. Darby and his uncle. They had gone out west in the great California gold rush, and after months of searching, they had found a vein of gold ore. They covered up the spot, they went into town, they bought some equipment, and they came back and began to mine that spot. After weeks and weeks and weeks of drilling, they were unable to find any more gold. Discouraged and frustrated, they sold their equipment for pennies on the dollar to a junk dealer and returned to their home in the East. The junk dealer hired an engineer who evaluated the spot that they had been mining, told the junk dealer he should continue to dig. The junk dealer took the equipment the Darbys had sold him and began to mine. And just 3 feet from the spot where they had stopped, the junk dealer discovered what was then the largest gold mine ever. That's how close we are many, many times to reaching our goals. Just 3 feet or even inches sometimes. Mark Victor Hansen tells the story that when him and Jack Canfield began to shop their book, The Original Chicken Soup for the Soul, they were turned down by 134 publishers. Now stop and think about how many authors have been turned down by publishers, whether it's the author of a book or perhaps a songwriter. Stop and think about the number of times people have gone for goals and stopped just short of victory. Had Mark and Jack stopped at 134, we'd have never heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul. But because they went one more step, because they took one more action, they found a small publisher in Florida, and that book became the series that is now the #1 series ever, having sold more than 130 million copies. So what do you do to develop the persistence to see you through? Well, one thing you have to do is you have to always go back to the very beginning, desire. That's why we started this series with the video about the power of the dream or the power of desire. See, if you don't have persistence right now, it's because the dream is not real enough to you, or perhaps you've lost the dream. And it's important to go back to the desire and look at it and evaluate it as if, do you really have the same desire that you had at one time? You know, it's okay to give yourself permission to stop working toward a goal if you've lost the desire. Now, that's not to say that you should use that as an excuse or an okay or a justification. If you still have a desire, but you've got some type of fear, or you're tired, or you're discouraged, in that case, it's not okay. But there's been many goals that I've evaluated, and things change in our lives. Things changed in my life, and I decided, you know what? That goal's not nearly as important to me now as it was at one time. But if you still have the desire for it, if after looking at your desire and you go, I really want that, that's something I really want to do, I'm afraid to go after it, or I have discouragement, or I have fear or frustration, but I really, really want it. If so, then you need to reignite the desire. What kept Mark and Jack going was that desire. The desire to have a book that they could share with others. A desire to have a book that could touch lives around the world. And that desire they kept in front of them. They kept focused on that. And they continued to go day after day after day, rejection after rejection after rejection. And you will too. The second place to look is in your core activities. I can't tell you how many people that we coach and we train that when they're consulting with us because they're discouraged or frustrated about the action on their goals, that they've been working and they're tired. Vic, I've been working so hard and I'm not getting anywhere. Many, many times we've identified they haven't been engaged in the right core activities. You know, every goal has a set of what I call core activities. They're the basic activities that are required in order to reach the goal. And it's amazing how many times we can be actively engaged in going after a goal and we're not engaged in the right core activities. We're doing the work, we simply have our ladder against the wrong house. You know, let me give you an example that I like to use. And that is, if I set a goal to run in the Boston Marathon. Now, I'm not a marathon runner, never have been a marathon runner, but I believe that if I wanted to run in the Boston Marathon, if I had the goal and dream to do that, I believe I could do it. I believe with my experience in goal achieving that I could create a goal and I could work toward that goal and I could achieve the goal of running in the Boston Marathon. Now, as I began to evaluate the activities that I would have to be engaged in on a regular basis in order to run in the Boston Marathon, what are some of the activities that come to mind immediately that I'd have to do? Well, I hope the first thing that comes to your mind is, Vic, you better run. You better go out every day, or at least most days, and you better be engaged in the activity of running. Now, that's maybe a silly example to you, but it's amazing how many people have a goal to do something like running the Boston Marathon, but they don't have the core activities like running every day created and working toward those in order to achieve the goal. So evaluate the activities that you're engaged in. You just may simply need a tweak or a change in the activities to create a brand new momentum toward your goal. When Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 of the most successful people of the time, they told him that their greatest success came just one step past the point at which defeat had overtaken them. And it will come for you too. Remember what the ancient writer left us. Be not weary in well-doing, for you shall reap a harvest if you faint not. And I know you will. Until next time, this is Vic Johnson, and thank you.